How do you do? It's me, Stefan Burchard, the Desert Bowtie Realtor, with my latest episode of Networking Nuggets. Today, I have my good friend and colleague, Elizabeth Chester, with Elizabeth Graphic Design. So we're going to be interviewing Elizabeth today. Elizabeth, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you. It's so good to be here. Welcome to my home office. I am a very experienced graphic designer for print and web. I like to brand businesses from, top to bottom, logo, printed materials, websites, social media, any of that kind of stuff. And I'm very experienced. I've been doing this for a while.
How many years specifically?
It's getting about 24.
Wow, good deal. Anything over 5 is amazing, right?
Yeah, I went back to school at 40.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Lifelong learning.
Yes. Amen.
We're going to talk a little bit about education a little bit further in, as you know, because you saw the questions. I want to talk about venues. When you think about going out and networking and meeting people, what I call shaking hands and kissing babies, are there any kind of venues or places that people don't think of as common networking places?
Well, being a creative, networking and sales is not a gift. It's something that I'm learning, constantly learning. And I started with the Coachella Valley Women's Business Center. Have you ever heard of that?
I have not.
Well, it's a great organization and it's free. You can go and take classes. And that's what I did to start my business. So they made me do a business plan, which I did from top to bottom. It's this whole prescribed thing you have to do. And that was the basis of my business. And they didn't teach networking, although they had networking events, which I think networking should be taught when you're teaching business. So I got involved with BNI. That's where I learned networking. I mean, I just hopped right in, not knowing anything. And Gary Lopez says, get up. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, well, tell me about your business. And I was like, oh, what do I say? So they helped me through it. And that's the beginning. Yeah, that was the beginning.
Thank you. When you think of going to one of these events, is there any materials or preparation that you take along or that you need to do before you go to an event? Perhaps it's a new event or a trade show that you're going to go to?
Well, yeah, I have to prepare myself mentally because it's difficult to be around a lot of people. So I have to kind of get in that kind of headspace. I joined the Palm Springs Chamber, and I did that for a couple of years. But Paul Chapman from Body Concierge Spa, we would go together. And so that would help so we could talk to other people and kind of flow off each other. And so that was very helpful. To bring a friend is a great preparation. And you need to dress professionally, look like you know what you're doing, and bring business cards.
Yes, absolutely. I love what you said about going with Paul, because that's a point that hasn't come up in any of these interviews that I've done or my monologues. So that is freaking brilliant, because there's so many times people are just, they're a wallflower because they're afraid, but if they're with a buddy, they won't be a wallflower. It's just freaking brilliant. So it's like, what a great way to get somebody to break through that barrier and fear of meeting new people and going to an event. That's just, wow. That's why I'm restating it, because I think it's amazing. And I want people to hear this one, y'all. Take a friend if you're nervous. It's brilliant. Good for you.
And we're quite a pair.
Yeah, I will agree. I will agree. He's definitely a force to be reckoned with. And
so we have fun.
Yeah. Can you think of any education or inspiration that keeps you going?
Well, my education is BNI. I find hanging around with salespeople, well, you're a salesperson, a lot of BNI, man, they're just top-notch salespeople. So I try and listen and kind of glean and mimic what they're doing. The podcasts are okay, you know, I learned some stuff with those, but it's mostly just hanging around with people that are better at it than I am.
Excellent.
Better at it.
So would you say when you do a one-to-one with somebody or like a coffee or lunch appointment with somebody, that you actually learn something about networking in addition to learning about them?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Definitely.
Any books or any kind of educational material that you follow or read or inspired by?
You know, I hate to say this, but no.
That's okay.
I don't like reading business books. I mean, I'm a creative. I want to read about what's the latest color, who's the coolest artist, you know, that kind of, that's the stuff that gets my juices going. Paper. I love paper.
Okay.
You know, I know. So
you're an experienced girl, so you don't necessarily want to read it in a book when it comes to business material. You want to learn it on the job. You want, like you said, this Coachella Valley businesswoman, they had you do a business plan. You probably would have done that otherwise, but they put your feet to the fire and you did it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the basis of my whole business. Because creatives, you know, we think in circles. But at the Coachella Valley Business Center, they made me take points of my business and bring them down to a straight line.
Wow.
So that this is, you know, this is my purpose. This is the goals. These are my financials. These are my, you know, there's just a whole list of stuff you got to do. You got to think through.
Cool. Excellent. Do you have any funny stories about networking or events that you care to share with us?
Well, I think the thing that gets me is not remembering names. I swear, I don't remember names. And a lot of times I don't remember faces. But it's funny because I was sitting with this lady and her son, and we're talking about a website, blah, blah, blah. We spent 30 minutes. She pulls out her business card. And I went, oh my gosh, she sold me my house the first time I came to the Coachella Valley. I didn't remember her face. I remembered her business card.
Oh, wow.
I know. That's kind of how.
That makes sense. That hollers back to the statement you just said about being a creative.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? I think it's so weird.
Conversations. I remember the way people leave me feeling, or a conversation. That's what I remember. So I don't always remember images and stuff, but I'll remember a conversation and what somebody said.
Yeah, well, we're all wired different.
Yeah. Anything that you learned in the realm of networking that kind of surprised you, like, I never thought about that?
So, hold on. Oh, yeah. There was a podcast. It's a BNI podcast. It's about the butterfly effect. Do you remember that one?
Vaguely. I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's about, you know, you meet someone and then you don't see them for years, and then you reconnect, or they refer someone back to you. So you have this connection, but there's like so much time that passes between it, and you never know when it's going to happen. Well, we had a gal, Karen Jacobson. Remember her? Yeah. Okay. Well, she is working for a new company, and they were having trouble with their web designer and their graphic designer. They were like infighting. And so she recommended me, and I got the job, and it's great. I mean, they're a great bunch of ladies.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's something I never would have expected.
So something that bounced back, a boomerang kind of.
Yes. Yeah, it's like the butterfly, you know.
Well, no, that's awesome. You obviously left an impression with her, such that she called you back. That's crazy awesome. Yay. Wow. Is there anything that you would like to share that we haven't covered or talked about here? Anything inspirational or anything? Well,
the only thing, or one of the things I'd like to leave is that you need to fit your personality in with networking. You have to figure out a way for you to do it, not how somebody else does it, because you have your own personality, and there's things that you can do and can't do, and you got to be like okay with that. And hopefully those around you are okay with that too.
That is gold. That is another one of those things nobody has ever brought up in one of my interviews, and that is freaking gold. Because it goes back to what I say about there's a spirituality stuff that I do also outside. And what I tell people is your practices are just like your thumbprint. It's unique and nobody else has the same one. So you got to figure out, what is your blueprint? What makes you tick? What lights you up? What are you good at and what are you not good at? So you're just saying the same thing. Fit your personality and find out, how can I leverage myself into networking? How can I, and I think that coupled with go with a buddy, if you're deathly afraid and you just can't, it's still the best way to build our businesses, is to know, like, and trust people, to work by referral. It's still hundreds and hundreds of years later, it's still the best way to do business.
Right, one-on-one.
Yep.
Or 1-2-1.
Yeah. So Liz, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you giving me some time, and I hope everybody who's listening or watching enjoyed our time together. So take care.
Yes, I enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye now.